Welcome to Company Showcase, an advertising feature on HowStreet.com.
I'm Jim Goddard. I'm speaking with Larry Reaugh, CEO and President of American Manganese. Welcome back to the show, Larry.
It's always great to be on the show, Jim.
On Twitter earlier this week, I saw a nice picture and a news release about your pilot plant. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, this is an optimization stage for the company. And we've started up the pilot plant. We're going to run it steadily through. The plant was built for 64 kilograms per day, and we hope to double and perhaps even triple that number by running it on a very continuous basis by changing densities and other things that could help in that regard. So it's another stepping stone for us. Jim, there's no cookie cutter to follow on recycling. We're actually blazing a trail in some of the areas there on recycling of lithium-ion batteries. And like I say, it's an area where science has to come into the equation. And we've got an excellent contractor in that regard with Cometco. So, but it still burns down to that they theorize and say this should happen, that should happen. Then it's a trial and error to to eventually find the optimum position where it works. And so this is people that think that because you got a recycling process that works, it should be a simple idea to, put it into production and to build it. And it's not quite that easy. It's, even I thought it would be a lot simpler than this, but I'm finding, working with Tier 1 companies, that there are changes in how they want the delivery made and what exactly specs that they have to it. So that tells me, wow, I'm not going to be able to deliver to all the battery companies, on an individual basis with one machine or one recycling process. And we're going to have to work, we're going to have to work in a different situation according to what they want, and we'll have to license that process to an individual battery manufacturer. And that manufacturer will give us the specs that it has to work to. We're not going to build all these processing plants for various manufacturers. If they want to license it and give us royalties, they can build the plant. We can certainly add the supervision to that. But we can't build individual plants for hundreds of battery manufacturers out there and expect that the company would survive, because it would be a huge cash outlay that would take a little time to get it back, but then we would be talking about different numbers. So I'm looking more towards saying, okay, who's the next customer on the line? And I think I've identified that area. I'm not going to discuss it, but I think I've identified who the customer should be. And that one plant would fit all, because we can give them high purity product, and they can jig it any way they want and sell it off to the battery manufacturers. So it's an ongoing game, and it's exciting because every time you make a breakthrough, it's a cause for, we'd like to say it's a cause for celebration, although we don't celebrate, but it is a cause for celebration. And we've got things ongoing that are crucial. Now, I made some attachments to this, again, as usual, to this podcast. And the attachments are, one of the ones talks about, 500% increase in battery chemistries or metals over a period of up to 2050. And it's, just a goal to shoot for. Doesn't necessarily mean that will actually happen. But or, if the battery metals jump 500% by 2050, that's a good thing for the company. I've also included another patent battle, and this one was between Japanese and I can't pronounce the name. Asahi K-Cell has won a 2-year lithium-ion separator patent infringement case against firms Shenzhen Electronic and Shenzhen. Two Shenzhens. I imagine they're the same companies, but that again shows the strength of patents. If people wouldn't bother patenting if they didn't have any protection under that. I don't know what the outcome will be, what it'll cost the Chinese company, but that's always of interest. I like to put that out there because it's critical to what we're doing. And another big thing in Bloomberg just recently is to avoid battery metal pinch, the car makers are urged to invest in mines. Well, I would agree with that, except that probably a lot of these car makers, if they're not already, pretty established as internal combustion engine types of, oil combustion, then or gas, it's where's the money going to come from? Right now, Elon Musk has finally made some money, and after 10 years of battle in his electric car production, and he could be in a position to do something like that. But most of the fledgling groups that require the metals don't have extra money to do that sort of thing. But it's a great idea. And I think some of these big car companies should be looking at that, entering into off-take agreements and putting some money up front to help the explorers build out the process. And well, speaking of that, I don't know why they're ignoring the recycling part. Certainly we can provide critical metals, not only in our mining operation or a mining properties, but also in our recycling. I mean, what better way to get your metal back and recycle it? Do you want to take cobalt and put it on a wall for storage or anything like that when you can do it with cheaper materials? So, but I think that's changing. People, and I think what's going to change it is the governments really have to get behind changing the legislation, make it tougher for recyclers to operate. You're already starting to see that in some of the permitting of the operations. And China, of course, which is always leads the pack, and they've got a plan that goes back 50 years or whatever, and everybody else kind of reacts in the moment, and we're always behind the 8 ball when it comes to that. So they should be more supportive of recycling. And certainly it's a two-way street. It's not just that they're supporting recycling. They're supporting their basic claim to being concerned about the environment. And they're supporting an industry that will return them dividends and metals when they need them. So I see that as a big plus. Certainly Senator Ted Cruz from Texas is making a big push on critical metals and on rare earths. Countries the size of the U.S., which has one of the biggest economies in the world and actually consumed at one point 70-80% of everything that was produced in the world, is now having to outsource, or not outsource, have to source from hostile countries the products that they need. So, that's all got to change. And I think this coronavirus has done a good job of pointing up the shortcomings of that. So that's another big plus for us in the battery industry. And we hope to be able to report on the progress of our pilot plant, in which we're making a better product, and hoping to reduce the cost and size of the plant. That would be significant. So, yeah, that's where we're at, Jim.
Larry, for people new to American Manganese, what's the company all about?
American Manganese is a critical metal company that developed a patent for treating low grades of manganese, which is critical to the steel industry. That's where about 80 to 90% of it's used, and you can't make steel without it. There's no substitution, and we can treat low grades and help with the dependency of, for example, the U.S. on their manganese needs. And from that, the price of manganese, the metal that we were going to produce, has gone down steadily and still has. It's turned our attention to looking at battery metals, because that is a growing resource. It's not a depleting resource. It's a growing resource. Mining is depleting, and recycling is a growth resource. So, the more you do, the more the batteries they build, the more product there is out for us to return the metals back into the system. So, we have we've had a pilot plant tests. We've got up to 100% recoveries in the metal, and 99.9% in the purities, which are high. And we're moving on from that. We want to build a plant here very soon, but we have to get this material done for the final design, which could reduce the costs and size. So that's kind of what we do, and we traded on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol AMY. We're traded on the U.S. under the symbol AMYZF. We're traded in Frankfurt under the symbol 2AM. The company has a very informative website. You can do all your due diligence on at AmericanManganeseInc.com. And you can also email me at LREAUGH@AMYMN.com, or give us a phone call here at 778-574-4444.
Larry, thank you so much for the update, and have a great long weekend.
You too, Jim.
My guest has been Larry Reaugh, CEO and President of American Manganese. I'm Jim Goddard. Our conversation took place on May 15th.
Comments made on Company Showcase are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Company Showcase is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.